Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tennis.com studios in New York City. I'm Ed McGrogan with Pete Bodo, a ways away from Melbourne where it's been so hot, 107, 108 degree temperatures you've heard. You know, how does this in the first week, how do you see it impacting players who are going to make it to the second week?
Well, I think there are two big factors here. Number one is how much fuel they're going to have left in a tank. Even guys who go 3 sets or women who go in 2 sets, you know, it takes a lot out of you, this heat does, you know, and so they're going to have to keep hydrating. If they sort of screw up a little bit with that, you don't know. So it's a matter of how much fuel they're going to burn up in this first week to get through the first week is going to be critical. And the other big thing is going to be the advantage the top players are going to have playing all these night matches, because they always put up they got to put a big player up on that night match. So, you know, when they do that, it means that guys playing under a lot cooler conditions will have greater reserve. I'm looking for the top players in the second week to do a lot of damage and to actually dominate whoever gets through from the lower.
Yeah,
orders.
the way that the schedule shakes out is huge here, you know, even more so than I think at other majors. But with that aside, do you think the tournament has been, you know, short-sighted in not invoking that heat policy that the Australian Open is known for? Reckless almost.
Well, I think reckless is a better word, because I think they're literally rolling the die. They're saying, you know, look, we got to try to get through this. We don't think anybody's going to get hurt. Let's do everything we can to try to make sure nobody gets hurt. I think they're probably not being willfully negligent. But I think they're, you know, the last time they invoked the extreme heat policy was in 2009, and the temperature was only 94 degrees. It's been 10 degrees and more hotter than that. So, you know, in this first week. But look, their problem is when they got 2 or 3 days of this stuff coming up, they can't cancel one day and then make them play the next day because they've fallen behind. It means who's going to postpone 3 days worth of Grand Slam play? It's a very difficult question and an uncomfortable one for the tournament.
One player who's had no trouble with the heat, or has had no trouble with really anything down in Australia, Serena Williams, getting through 2 rounds without any problems. She was such a huge favorite before the tournament. You could almost say she's an even bigger favorite now just on how she's looked. You know, maybe some thoughts on how Serena continues to really just look head and shoulders above everybody on the chase for 18 Grand Slams too.
Well, yeah, you know, given that she's basically, you know, having to deal with the stem conditions and everything else, I think her attitude has been terrific. I mean, this is like just a continuation of what she's been doing. She's been really pushing the pedal to the metal all of last year. She's continuing that this year. I was very impressed. No complaints about the heat. No, you know, getting involved in any kind of controversy. Goes out there, takes care of business, and so I think she's in very good shape going forward.
Last pair we'll bring up is Serena's sister, Venus, you know, out in the first round. Maybe just some thoughts on where she goes from here. I think a lot of people could easily see this being her last Australian Open, potentially.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. There are a lot of issues there. You know, obviously she's dealing with the Sjogren syndrome, an autoimmune deficiency illness, not the best thing to have for a player because it causes fatigue. And she's, you know, she's 33 years old or about to turn 30. I think she actually is 33. So, you know, it's going to be a tough thing for her. You know, when you watched her there, you know, she was so close. She had break points to go up 4-2 in that second set in her first round. You know, you really sort of thinking, well, maybe she can do it. And then the game started to fall apart, you know. So her game isn't sharp. You know, her technique looks really pretty bad. And remember, this was a woman who had an unbelievable serve at Wimbledon. This was even more so than Serena. This was the serve everyone talked about. That serve was very unreliable in that first rounder. It's kind of a bummer. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for her.
Stay cool, Pete, in the heat down there. Thanks for listening to the Tennis.com video. Pete Bodo and Ed McGrogan.